Many tens of thousands of years ago, a lone hairless mammal with an impressive brain and a soft body was out exploring the area for its clan when it saw a gray fur-covered creature peering out from the edge of the forest. The beast didn't have the look of something that might make a meal. Its eyes were too knowing, with a glint of comprehension somehow similar to the human's own. The gray animal crept furtively at the edge of the tree line, gazing back at the human with a similar interest, similarly uncertain as to whether the tall, relatively hairless biped was friend, foe, or food. This day they would keep their distance, and each would run back to their own kind to relate what they had seen. Human and wolf, first contact. It is now months later in this long-ago time, and the human and their group have been fortunate enough to fell an antelope, or some proto-version thereof, with their rudimentary tools and exceptional tenacity. They've learned the dangers of contamination and spoilage, so rather than wait, they immediately field-dress the beast and stoke a flame to cook the spoils of the hunt. They give thanks, in their way, and set in, congratulating one another in a forgotten tongue, as they happily and hungrily devour succulent mouthfuls. The human often finds the company of their clan too noisome during mealtimes. So as they are wont, they take their portion of the dripping meat and a large leg bone for protection, to scout the perimeter and enjoy their meal in relative quiet. The wolf, also a scout for his pack, catches the scent of the human he saw once before. This winter has been hard, and large prey difficult to catch, but the wolf knows that by following the strange biped and his kind, there is often food to be had. As he soundlessly pads along the forest floor, the scent of flesh wafts through the woodland air, gliding along the breeze until it reaches the wolf's exquisitely delicate nose. The meat has a special scent. It's hot and succulent, touched by flame in a way the wolf has only encountered when the humans have done something to it. The wolf begins to follow this aroma, rather than that of the human, salivating just a bit, the tip of his flexible nose working left and right to triangulate the correct direction. Startled, the human raises the still warm bone and assumes a defensive posture, eyes flashing a warning glint of aggression. The wolf bristles at first, but since the distance between them is ample, it relaxes, communicating that it is neither afraid nor prepared to attack. The wind picks up. The scent of the still warm leg bone drifts through the air again. The wolf lifts his head slightly, sniffs audibly, then licks its muzzle hungrily, eyes fixed not on the human, but its hands and the warm bone therein. The human has heard the howls, in day and night. While most of the others in their clan fear the somehow mournful sound, he is drawn to it. It seems to seek him, seems to say, "Where are you, friend?" While some of the elders say it is a call to the dead, this human is certain there is a less arcane message to be read. In the howls, the human hears communication. And if it can communicate with its own kind, maybe, just maybe, it can communicate with him as well. Perhaps it is looking at the bone not with trepidation but for some other reason. He remembers seeing gnawed leg bones left at old campsites, hastily left behind as the humans approached. Other than temporary, somewhat fragile weapons, these bones serve little purpose to the humans, and most are usually discarded. The wolf looks at the human's eyes, then back at the bone, with another flick of the tongue. Finishing the last bite of the meat in their left hand, the human changes their grip on the bone in their right. Rather than brandishing it, they hold it outstretched, advancing ever so slowly towards the wolf. Closer. Closer. The wolf maintains position, and its body posture softens somewhat. Now they are within 15 feet of each other, closer than ever before. The human crouches down slightly and places the bone on the ground before stepping back, both hands extended forward as a gentle warning to maintain distance. Can I say this scenario happened exactly as I depicted it? No. But based on what we do know, we can make an educated guess that something very similar happened many thousands of times with different individuals from each group of animal over a very long period of time. At first, humans did not intentionally domesticate wolves, and wolves did not intentionally groom humans to be their guardians. Instead, the two species simply grew closer together over the millennia in a slow dance, until the exceptionally compatible circles of their individual existences became proximate, then linked, then one single circle, home. By this time, the wild wolf was now something different, as was the human in their way. By chance, by fate, and by choice, the planet's greatest friendship was born. That is an excerpt from my second book on dogs. My first was called Putting Paws to Pavement. This episode is going to be all about one of the great loves of my life, which is dogs. Canis lupus familiaris. The domestic quadruped that has been with humans since before we had cities, since we were just barely trying to survive. And all evidence points to the fact that we would not have survived without them. The dog-human relationship, as much as it is spoken of, is often not truly understood with its proper gravity. Dogs were the first sanitation system, the first heating system, and the first alarm system for humans. Dogs aren't just well-loved pets, but partners. One of my favorite stories to relate is that in one of the First Nations tales of creation, the Great Spirit is creating the world, and as they are creating the world, they are walking around looking at things with their dog in tow. That gives us the indication that for the First Nations people, or at least this particular group of First Nations people, the idea of being without a dog at one side was so unthinkable that even God had a dog. I like that idea. But let's get into it. You have returned to a special episode of the Focused on Infinity podcast. This one all about our canine companions, the present and future, with man's best friend. Let's talk about it.